94.1 on the FM dial. That's right. wmpr, community-minded radio. Miss Lady Cherie bringing you all the way in right now up till 8 o'clock. And then you'll tag back in with her and she'll be here up until the 9 o'clock hour. Hey, y'all, listen, man. It is homecoming weekend in the Capitol. There should be no other message that should be implied. There should be no other message that should be pushed. There should be no other message that should be rendered to this community other than black people stand up, rise up, be great, be empowered, be encouraged, be mindful, be proud. As James Brown would say, I'm black and I'm proud. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with being black and being proud. Ain't nothing wrong with being black and having your pants pulled up on you and talking and walking like you got sense. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Where did we get off that? For some reason, it was foreign for a black boy to sit in the classroom and to learn physics and science and economics and want to come out and imply that into his community and change the economical direction of his community. When did that become foreign? When did it become foreign for African American girls to want to retain themselves from matrimony before they take themselves to the maternity ward? When did that become foreign? When did it become foreign that we release our African American men to the prison system before we turn them over to a PhD degree? When did we start practicing a lifestyle and an ideology that did nothing more than set us back? And on this weekend in this city where African American people should be proud, we should be ecstatic, we should be rallying behind JSU. We have a winning football team. We have a president that was educated here in the Jackson Public School System, attended the university, and now sits at the highest position on that university, has a personal passion for his city, his school, his alma mater, black boys and black girls around this city ought to be looking at Dr. Hudson. Parents ought to be posting his picture on their iPads and their TV screen saying, you could do this. Our goalposts shouldn't only be a Collie B and an Offset. Our goalposts shouldn't just be a Michael Jordan and a Kobe Bryant. Our goalposts ought to be a Dr. Hudson. Our goalposts ought to be a Socrates Gary. Our goalposts ought to be a Jerry Young. Our goalposts ought to be a Dorothy Hatcher. Our goalposts ought to be some of the very people in this community that have bred and labored over other folks' children. Those ought to be goalposts. We should have more conversations about the people, the African American people that have labored in this community. We should have more conversations about the Miss Peaches and what she went through struggling to keep her restaurant open on Farris Street. We should have more conversations about the bookstore down on Farris Street. African American community, we should have more conversations about the history of African American people. There are some more Mega Evers in Jackson. There are some more Fannie Lou Hamers in Jackson. And we should be having those conversations. The churches ought to be having those conversations. The schools ought to be having. We have a predominantly black African American school system. And you mean to tell me the only time we talk about African American history is in February? There should be an African American curriculum inside JPS alone because of the JPS population of African American children. There should be a history for African American children in JPS strictly about the African American legacy of Jackson, Mississippi. That up until 1970, Farris Street was known nationally as one of the historical hubs for African American people. It birthed more businesses in Jackson, Mississippi on Farris Street than Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. Farris Street was the Mecca. Do y'all hear what I'm telling you? It was the Mecca for African American businesses. And today, it sits depleted. It sits desolated. You got 5 African American council members that sit on a council. And you mean to tell me in all of their years of lineage, rather it's 4 years, 5 years, 2 years, rather they just got to see, you mean to tell me that every conversation that they're having has nothing to do with the revitalization of Farris Street? You mean to tell me with 5 African American people on a council seat that they can't even come up with a means to relive the legacy, to rebuild the legacy of African American people in a city that has the largest rate of African American people outside Detroit per 100,000? It's a sad indictment. It's a sad indictment on us as a black people. When we're sitting here with all of the resources, all of the benefits of having the majority in your favor. Notice what I said. We have all of the benefits. You have 5 African American people on the council seat. We have everything working in our favor. You mean to tell me we can't get the money? We got more black legislators sitting up there in the House of Representatives as senators than any other city, any other state in the union. And you mean to tell me we can't lobby and allocate for the fundings and monies and be over the monies to restore a district that is known nationally. Even the white Republicans of the state of Mississippi know how vital Farish Street was to the history of America. Even the white Republicans that sit in the Senate seats of the United States of America know the importance of Farish Street. And you mean to tell me that the black folks that sit in these same legislative seats can't come together and make Farish Street a staple? Go ahead, Pastor Pickett. I'll mention.
Hey, man, I think you all over it, brother. I think you're all over it. I think it's important that we understand and that our people understand what's happening. And it's programs like this, it's you talking about this, it's you making us aware to understand what's really happening. Now, my uncle owned the business down on Farish Street back in the day. So I know what you're talking about, man, and I can remember some things. And I'm telling you, there's no reason why we cannot rise again as the people we're supposed to be. I'm telling you, there's hope. And I want all the people to think that there's no hope for us. There's hope, because we're going to give every breath we have, every moment we can, every resource we have to bring it to bear to raise up the people in the city of Jackson. Come on, man, let's do it.
Doc, listen, it has to be done. It has to be done, Pastor Pickett. Listen to me, brother. Me and you have a lot of conversations, and you know where I'm at on this matter. It has to be done. Listen, there is no way you and I can go to sleep night after night. There is no way any person that claims to have a Jesus or Allah in their life that is African American can go to sleep night after night, knowing the history of what we just put out. And if you don't know it, go search it for yourself. Knowing that it lies right now like a desert. Like a desert, man. The valley of the dry bones that's Farish Street. That's the Washington Edition. That's Dutyville. That's Presidential Hill. That's Shady Oaks. That's Vernon Edition. That's Bel Air. That's Tougaloo. Everywhere you see, everywhere you look, dry bones. It's just drying up. And African-American people sit at the helm of the ship. You mean to tell me we go sit here on the back of our ancestors that bled, died, hung, buck broken, raped, molested, mutilated? We gonna sit here with all of this technology, with all of this insight, all of these vast number of speakers and degrees and education and monetary gains and gifts, and we gonna sit here and let the history that allowed us to be here die? How does that happen, Pastor?
It's a complete loss of understanding of what's happening. But, you know, it's so powerful that we can have this conversation, and knowing the conversation we've had, that we've had with others, the events, the round tables we got planned, the big event that's planned that's going to put people in the room, and how we're going to move the needle on this step by step. But it's going to take a revolution, man. I've been saying that it's time for a revolution.
Man, listen, it has to happen. I will not rest, not on my watch. As I continue to study, I already knew. Matter of fact, I knew the history of Farish Street. Matter of fact, my first job outside the second job that Leroy Walker gave me, my second official job. But my first job was down at Soul's, the barbershop on Farish Street, and I was shining shoes, Pastor Pickett, in the early 70s, like 79. 78, 79, my daddy used to take me down there and drop me off on Saturday morning, and they taught me how to shine shoes. And from sitting there in that barbershop shining shoes on Farish Street, then I learned how to cut hair later on in life. But man, we was shining shoes for 25 cents, my brother. For 25 cents. And all I used to remember, man, and all I used to remember is getting that 25 cent, man, and it turned, when you got 4 of them quarters, you could go get you $1, you know. And I remember Mr. Soul used to always go in his pocket behind his apron, and he would pull out that big old wad of money, and there'd be 1s and 5s and 10s. But man, we were so fascinated on the dollar. We just wanted one of them ones, and you know, then you wanted two of them ones, and as time went on, we matriculated to understand what 10 of them went. But what I'm saying is that all the little black boys down there, you wanted to know how to shine shoes. You hear me? That was mandatory, man. That you wanted to know, man, shining shoes for a young black boy was a big thing back then. You hear what I'm saying?
That's powerful, man. You must be about 72 years old.
Oh, go ahead on, man. there you go. Hold the line, Big. Hold the line. Go ahead, caller. You on there?
Yeah, how you all doing this morning? Right?
Man, we doing wonderful. How you doing this morning?
Yeah, pretty good. Just reminiscing on Ferris Street. You remember Bear Trap?
Yes, I do.
He used to have a crowd standing around make that rag talk.
That's right. Listen, you remember how he used to take that lighter and put that shine on the tip of that shoe and take that lighter and hit that shoe and then come back and that rag be going pop, 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 pop. Hey, and you could walk down there to Peaches, man, and get salmon croquettes. You could get salmon croquettes and real homemade biscuits back then.
I want to see it come back.
It's got to come back, Doc. Listen, let's make it happen, man. Pray for us, man, and lock arms with us, and let's make it happen.
Hey, let me ask you a question before I go. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
What do you think about the job Shad White is doing?
Well, let me tell you. I think Chad is trying to be the governor of the state of Mississippi. But the only problem is there's two Republican parties now operating in the state. You had the Republicans from North Mississippi and Central Mississippi that are ran by Haley Barbour and his big political machine that he has going. And listen, I want to just acknowledge that. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good question, and it's a good transition. I think what Haley has done with that political machine he has. Now, black folks always talking about they like to do what white folks do. I think we ought to build something similar to it. And the reason I say that is 40% of the population of Mississippi is African American. That means we make up just about half of the 3.5 million people living here in the state of Mississippi. Well, and if we could build that type of political machine that Haley has built, making up only 38% of the population of Mississippi, you see what we could do?
Yeah, with that being said, then, why is it so hard for minorities to get a bigger percentage of contracts and things and doing this different work? And I hang up. Because
one, men, even though with the 40% makeup that we make in the state of Mississippi, much of that makeup of African American people have a large percentage of voter apathy and political apathy. Go ahead, caller. Hold the line, caller. You're on there, but hold the line. So to my last caller, most of the percentage of the 40% African American people that make up 3-point-something million people in the state of Mississippi, it means we almost are half of the population of the state of Mississippi. We receive less of the minority contracts in the state. That's due to voter apathy and political apathy among African American people. Even though we make up a large percentage of the population, we don't make up a large percentage of the civic-minded duties that it takes to carry out the legislative work in the state. And so we suffer. And that's why it's important that we educate. Go ahead, Pastor Pick. You back on that.
Okay, yeah, man. I missed what y'all saying, so I'm listening. I couldn't hear anything.
Well, the caller was saying, you know, he was asking about Shad White, and then I was telling him that the Shad White's ambition is to be the governor of the state. All right? And to understand this political arena, you have to understand the mechanisms that are working within this state. African-American people make up 40% of the population of the state of Mississippi, is what I was just telling the caller. And he was saying, well, why don't we get a large percentage of the minority contract? I told him that's a good question. And I said a lot of that plays a part that we have a large percentage of people, but we don't have a large percentage of African-American people that understand the political process. So you have political apathy, and then you have voter apathy. And those two together are detrimental to any body of people. White people are just more civic-minded, and I hate to say it, when it comes to the political process of how to raise and keep communities vibrant. They understand that. They follow the Constitution. They follow the codes and ordinances of the city. They make sure they're implemented. African-American people, we, for so long, have just been concentrated on surviving. All we want to do is survive and make it just a little bit. And that's why I think our program, our platform, what you're doing, what Pastor Bishop Crudup is doing, what SOC is doing, what Leroy Walker is doing, what 90.1 is doing, other churches, other leaders, other community organizations, I think that's why this is so important. I think that what we're doing, this calling of the carpet to men and women in positions, the calling out of Councilman Banks and Vernon Harley, that you cannot do this in this African-American community. You cannot go against African-American businesses with what we're faced with already, the monster that's already in the room. And so we have to really start hitting the needle, swinging the pendulum. This state could be the stellar state. Let me say that again, African-American people. Mississippi has 40% of the population of Mississippi is African-American. It's the largest percentage of African-American people living in one state anywhere in the United States of America Corporation.
And you know what, Polo, it's one thing I just want to mention this. I know we can't change yesterday. We got to go from today. But a lot of people don't know this, that Dr. Young in New Hope Church many years ago started a grocery store and had a grocery store. And he got attacked so bad by his own people. I mean, our own people are notorious for attacking inside of our own community about economic empowerment.
Well, let's talk about that. You brought up a good subject. Okay, so Pastor Young them started Bowman Supermarket, and people said that they said they didn't support it because the church refused to sell beer and alcohol. All right. So here we are, y'all, and I want y'all to chime in. How you feel about that, Pastor? It's 2021 now. And you're in the same position that New Hope was and Pastor Young was in. Would you sell beer and cigarettes in your grocery store in 2021?
You're asking me, would I do that?
Yeah.
Yes, Polo, I would.
And I would too.
Sell beer.
I would too. I would too. And so this is why I said that, Pastor Pick. And Pastor Pick, I love you, man. I'm serious, bro. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you for that honest comment, man. This community ought to commend you for that comment. Real talk, bro. See, bro, there's moments like this that we gonna have more of. Big shouts out to 90.1 Wanda and Sheriff for making this happen, because this has to be talked about, brother. These are critical conversations for our people, man.
Absolutely.
And you being honest like that man, I might come to church Sunday. I'm just saying. I might go to church with you Sunday.
I've been waiting on you.
I'm serious, man. God, we need that, man. Listen, let's be honest. There are people in your church, Pastor, that are saved, right?
Right.
They drink beer and smoke cigarettes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if they're going to buy them from somewhere.
And they're going to buy them from somebody, Pastor.
From the kingdom.
Pastor, they going to buy them, man. They might not want to see you buy them. They might not want to see you when they buy them, but they go buy them, Pastor.
Right, but think about this. And what people got to understand is that the time frame that was in then was a different time frame, right? But either way it goes, I mean, we know what the Word of God says about drinking. We know what the Word of God really says about those things. And so we can't put rules and regulations on people that God didn't put on.
Well, Pastor, watch this. We know what the times were then, and you have always said this. Now, this isn't a shot at Pastor Young, but I'm going to say this, and I'm going to show you how the importance, and me and you've had this conversation. Man, I'm telling you, man, woo, and we still got 30 minutes, y'all. See, this is getting heated. All right, so, Pastor, we've talked in our own privacy, and I think it's safe to say this. We've talked about the miseducation of black people concerning the gospel, concerning church. All right, watch this. And I love Dr. Jerry Young. And I've taken a jab at him. And matter of fact, I've taken some recently because that same supermarket you talking about, I felt they should have been cleaned it up. They should have been took care of the property over there. And I still feel that. Not gonna change that. But it doesn't change how I feel about him as a person. Because I've been to his house, I've shot pool with him, we've laughed, we talked, he's educated me on stuff. I've brought other friends, the common friends that we've had, to his church. He's allowed them to preach, bless them. So we have a history. What I want to say is this. Could it be that in that era, and as Pastor Young was descending until where he is now, as the president of the National Baptist Convention, the largest conglomeration of black churches in the United States of America Corporation. And y'all gonna get why I say corporation sooner or later. I'm gonna teach y'all as we go. Dr. Young, could it be as he arose to that place, that the gospel that he was declaring to be a gospel then, could it be that that gospel was diluted with false concept that cost our people and cost his church a business venture? Because he preached the gospel that said, well, you can't smoke or you ain't gonna drink. Not understanding that black folks in his church even then will go smoke and drink. And rather they buy cigarettes or beer and he didn't want them to have it or not, they will still go purchase it. So could it be that the gospel, and I'm going somewhere with this, could it be that that type of gospel being preached then and being instilled into black folks cost us? Because look at it, people. That was the #1 complaint from the African American community, that Broma didn't sell beer and cigarettes. And so people said, hey, well, we not going to shop there. Now, that was one of the #1 complaints. I remember it like it was yesterday. What other reason why that supermarket failed, we don't know. Maybe we need to get Pastor Young on here to talk about it. But what I'm saying is this. We know that African-American people in that community will go buy beer, they go buy cigarettes. Pastor Young, I don't know what their decision was for not selling. They were preaching a gospel that says Christians don't drink and don't smoke. Okay? So what I'm saying is, in his analogy of the gospel, it didn't coincide with the makings of a business. And Sock said something that the reason why I'm saying this the other day, Sock said something. Sometimes you might be a good activist, or you might be a good preacher, or you might be a good teacher. That don't make you a good business person.
Right.
And what I'm saying is Dr. Young has arose to a hell of a position. And he should be commended. But what I'm saying is, at that era of the junction, in his ministry and what he tried to do, and I'm not shooting down what he tried to do, I'm just opening us up for conversation and deep thought. Could it be that the gospel that he preached then stagnated economical growth for the African-American person in this community? Because had Broma survived, imagine what it would be right now, 25, 30 years in as a black supermarket. You go ahead. I'll sit back and let you talk about it.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think you're right, and we all are evolving all the time, right? So we're evolving in our understanding, and many of us preached and taught a gospel that we had been taught. Right? And so we did it based on what we understood. You remember growing up, and they talked to us about keeping the 10 Commandments. You got to keep them 10, right? We never could really keep them, right? But that was religion. So people were taught religion instead of relationship. So I think there is a system that we have to employ to disciple people of the truth. You know, but people are impacted by what they learn. They're impacted by how they grew up. And there are so many things in my life that I would do differently now that I understand it I did 20 years ago. One more thing. It's the same thing that caused what was then the National Baptist Church leadership that fought against Martin Luther King Jr. and Ralph Abernathy and Jesse Jackson and all those different people who were fighting then. That's why we have the Progressive Baptist Church Fellowship, Progressive Baptist Church. So the mentality, because many of those, whether by lack of knowledge, whether or not they had already they wanted to be big fish in small ponds, whether or not they were paid off by the other side, whatever the case was, but it was a mentality of that it was almost spiritual to be poor and broke. Now, I remember my daddy. My daddy had a PhD. And I remember my daddy got attacked when we moved down here in Terry. And the deacons at the church that we went to down here in Terry, the same church him and my mom was married in, when he came to be a part, they attacked him because he had education. So many of those people like that, man. I mean, it's craziness. Who can figure it out?
Let me ask you this, Pastor, because I'm going somewhere with this one too. I think, and I want you to come honest like you just did, and this another think about it before you answer now, because you know they already don't like the fact you my friend, and they be looking for something to say about you, but I ain't gonna let them. Yeah. Because you know. If they say something, I'll come up with my famous quote. You know what my famous quote is, right?
What's that?
I'll bust you in your mouth, say I won't. I'm just playing, man. But listen, boy. Hey, so Pastor, listen. I had to throw that in there, man. Somebody messing with me. Pastor, listen. Should the church, with African Americans seeing the second highest rate of HIV in this community, should the church, number one, provide condoms on the campuses of our churches? And should the church also be testing for HIV like we testing for COVID? Think about that before you answer that now. I want you. That's and I know. See, these shows ain't scripted. I know y'all think they are, but that's my friend. I trust him, and I learned something last night. And I'm gonna talk about Sock in a minute. I hope Sock listen. I want him to call in because I want to commend him. But I learned something last night by Sock, and I want you to think about that before you answer, Doc. And if you ready, then shoot.
I think there should be a component of the church that deals with every area of life, spiritual, social, emotional, so forth and so on. So as a part of our health ministry, what our health ministry does is we want to make sure that we're providing safety. We want to make sure we're providing truth, and also safety in regard to the life that people are living, whether they're saved or unsaved. The church has responsibility for not just those that are saved, but also for the lost, or those that don't believe the same way we believe. We are to be about the peace and the well-being of the whole city. So I think that it should be a component of what the health ministry does at the church, while at the same time we provide abortion counseling, we provide pre-abortion for people that are thinking about having abortions or people that have had abortions. I think we should be providing safe sex practices for those that choose, because see, HIV and AIDS and diseases can be spread whether or not you're married or not married.
That's right.
Right? There's some people that get married that have diseases already, all those things. So I think it should be a part of the church's overall program of what we do, not just for the lost, for the saved, but we got to be thinking about the lost. And I don't think You know, because the Bible says it rains on the just and the unjust.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when Jesus fed the 5,000, all these things, man, I could go to a bunch of scriptures and go after it, you know. But that's it for me, man. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and I knew if I could trust anybody with that answer, it would be you or somebody like Bishop Crudup or somebody. And the reason I'm saying that, Doc, because this journey that we're on, this journey that we have, this line we have drawn in the sand, and I continue to say these names redundantly. Yourself, Pastor Bishop Crudup, Socrates, Leroy, the people here at 90.1 and others that have made this commitment that, listen, we're going to rise this community up. You know, we're not taking any wooden nickels or anything. I think going forward that's going to have to be a mandate among our churches that what you just talked about is implemented. We're going to have to see the church take that type of community commitment. Okay? Churches, right. You cannot sit back and act like you got pastors whose daughters are out here having babies that ain't married. And we get that. And so that stuff that grandma and them used to preach, well, you know, don't y'all be out here getting no baby. Well, it's happening, y'all. And if we're going to better ourselves, then churches must convey that message over to their parishioners. All right? It has to be conveyed in the schools. It has to be conveyed at the church. It has to be conveyed at the barber shop. It has to be conveyed at the beauty shop. See, one of the things that I understand about our history is that the message was always the same in the history and the legacy of our people that kept us rising higher. Now the message is being diluted. You have some over here crying this, some over here crying that, kind of what you just said. You talked about the history, how the churches broke off, and you got the progressive and how people were fighting against some of the things that Martin was saying in that era. And it's the same way with the people when Moses brought them out of Egypt. You had folk complaining saying, you should have left us in bondage, man. Listen.
Right.
We're not leaving. We got the Army logo. No man left behind. We're not going to leave nobody behind. And so what I'm saying in not leaving you behind, meaning that the churches must be confronted with the task that has always been in the church. And the church has always been the strongest institution for social and civil change in this African-American community. Just like Ferry Street must reclaim itself, the church must reclaim its commitment to mental health, physical health, spiritual health. Every area of man, the church must be ministering to. Hold the line, Pastor Pick. Go ahead, Carl, you on there.
I'd like to ask two quick questions.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Carl.
Abstain.
Hold on, Carla. Go back because I didn't hear you. I lost you. Now, start your question over again.
I say, number one is, have you considered running for a position on the city council? And number two is, do you think that is the right thing to do for a city council member to abstain from voting on issues? Don't you think they should vote on every issue, whether they disagree or agree? And I hang up and listen.
Thank you, Carl. Hold the line. So to answer that caller's question, Pastor Pick, he asked me, why haven't I considered running for office? And then he asked me, do I think it's okay for a council member to abstain from voting? No, I do not. I have stressed that ever since I've taken this charge in this community in April the 1st, 2016, that every council member is required to show up and to vote and do what they've been elected to do. I've said that redundantly these last couple of months, that the council members have put their hand on a Bible. They stood before a judge. They swore before the people. They swore before their families to uphold the office in which they were now entering. That's just like the pledge that you take when you join the military. That Sock was saying the other day. You were saying, Pastor Pete, you can't leave your post till you relieve. Council members cannot be given a pass on not showing up to vote on measures that they know are crucial to their community. Now, let me tell you what they're doing. And we have some council members that are famous for this. They don't show up and vote, so you can't hold them accountable about what it is that the measure was. They'll say, well, I didn't vote yay or nay. No, I need to know exactly where you stand. You've been sent to do a job. And so to that caller's question, yeah, every council member. And that's why it's important that we in this community hold these council members accountable. You have to do that. You have to call. You have to do emails. And I've been saying this for the longest, Pastor Pig. You got to document when you call these councils. Make yourself a note. Send an email is a paper trail. And then when it comes time for election, I don't care if you one person in the community. And you say, well, I've been emailing and calling this council member for the last 4 years. These are the only times they return my call. They haven't answered any of my emails. Now you got a report card on that council member. And even though your one vote, once we put that report card out, how they did you, I guarantee you there's 9 more people they did that to. And then out of that 9 is 9 more. And before you know it, you'll realize that many of these council members aren't doing anything. They not returning nobody calls. They not answering none of their constituents' concerns. They're only down there to do what they did, as the mayor explained today, steer contracts, get money under the table, and deplete and destroy African-American communities. All your opinion.
Yeah, well, I think, it's important that we understand that elected officials are sent by the people to do a job. And unless there's some legal reason, for example, if they have worked for a particular company or if there's some legal reason, but other than that, abstaining from a vote that makes no sense. That means the people that you represent, their voices are not being heard. When a person takes on an elected position, Polo, they don't go down to represent their voice. They go down to represent the people that elected them. Yeah. And that's. I think it's a abdication of responsibility.
Hold the line, Pete.
Derelict of duty.
Hold on. Go ahead, Collie, on there. Go ahead, Collie, on there.
Yeah, I'm trying to investigate. I'm looking into it. Then when I get the facts, I'll bring them to you. I'm trying to see how much money, if any, waste management had gave Mr. Banks, and are they buying votes?
Well, now, caller, I tell you what. Now, this is what I know. This is what I do know, caller, and I can say this. Okay, so Councilman Banks did write down on a piece of paper 50. I don't know if he had been watching one of them Johnny Briscoe movies or what, but he wrote down on a piece of paper 50, and he tried to slide that piece of paper toward Pastor Pickett. I don't know what he was trying to. I don't know if he was trying to get Pastor Pickett. I'm gonna get Pastor Pickett back on the line. Hold on. I don't know if he was trying to persuade Pastor Pickett that he needed some money, or he wanted 50 feet of copper. I don't know what he wanted. But I do know that Councilman Banks put out a lie that Pastor Pickett had offered him some money. Now, I'm answering the caller's question. I don't know if you heard the question, Pick, but he wanted to know.
I did.
This was the question, Pastor. He wanted to know how much money Waste Management had paid Councilman Banks or any other of those other council members, because now that the mayor done explained everything, everybody knows somebody got something. I told him I'm privileged to understand or to know, and man, I might have the story wrong, but I thought Aaron tried to proposition you with a 50 or something. I don't know, it was $50 or 50,000, 50 rolls of coins. I don't know what it was. But I do know he lied on you and said that you offered him $20,000 to vote in his favor. Now, he took that lie to another council member, and I'm going to say this, you don't have to say nothing, Pastor, because you have litigation. He took that lie to another council member. He has now been sued. I put that out the other day. Didn't nobody know that? Aaron Banks. Let me go and say it on there since the callers. And Pastor, y'all let you talk here in a minute. But let me go ahead and say this since the caller put it out there. I was trying to say this stuff to Monday. But Councilman Banks and Councilman Virgil Lindsay were sued on this week by Pastor Dwayne Pickett. And Pastor, because of litigation, I would ask that you not say anything without your lawyer's insight. Let me just kind of divulge into this. You say what you feel privileged to say without putting yourself in any legalities. But he was then sued. Councilman Banks was then sued. He was served during the special committee meeting on, I want to say Thursday or Friday, him and Virgil Lindsay. It's to my understanding that once they were served, that they both then went to the city attorney, showing the city attorney the papers and asking the city attorney what should they do. The city attorney then advised them, this has nothing to do with the city because you were not sued in that capacity. Now, what's interesting is this, Pastor Pickett, and you can say I threw it in for free. I don't have a law degree, and tell your lawyer they can send me a bird dog fee for telling you this. But according to state law, you could have had a dual suit. You could have sued them personally, and you could have sued them in their capacity as council members. You didn't, and it's not my business to know why you didn't. But the fact that those two council members would then go to city council, the same council that they fired and put out of the room, listen to me, people, this is the same city attorney that they fired and put out of the room for the emergency contract. They now are asking this person to help them with a civil suit that's been brought against them by a citizen of this city. All right? And now they want you, the citizens, to pay for their legal fees. No. Now, Pastor Pickett, if you want to say anything about that, once again, I would ask that you wouldn't for legal legality reasons, because this is the radio, and anything you say can and will be used against you. All you can say, yes, I have been served, I'm suing them, and we can just leave it at that. Go ahead.
Well, just one point of clarity is he said that I offered him $20,000. He told people I offered him $20,000. He told Virgil Lindsay and others I offered him $50,000 for a vote, and which was represented as if that had something to do with the NWU contract, and none of that happened. But Aaron and I,
so Councilman Banks literally was trying to say you had committed a crime.
That I had committed a crime.
That's slander. That's defamation of character.
Right. When he represented it as if he and I had a conversation when the deal was going on with the emergency contract. He and I had a conversation a long time ago before the second vote of LCC. And not in any way did I offer him $20,000 or $50,000, but he represented it like this was something recent and all this stuff. But
okay,
you know, it's, you know how I feel about it.
Yeah. And you called him. We got 10 minutes past, and you called him and you had a conversation with him, and he said he's sorry and he apologized. And Pastor, I'm just go. I'm telling you, I should have been a prosecutor. I'm going to tell you, just leave it right there. I'll deal with it because I don't want you to say anything else for legal legality reasons now that they have been served. But people, I just tell you, that is what happened. You'll hear more about it. I'll bring it more to you about this. And Pastor Pickett won't be able to talk about it in his because of the legal legality. But listen, I want to transition right quick as we get ready to go. We got about 10 minutes. Last night I told you I attended the birthday party of Mr. Socrates Garrett and the Garrett family. I want to say big happy birthday to Socrates Garrett, 75 years old. Socrates Garrett's brother, Coleman Garrett, was also there. 45 years of law practicing in the state of Mississippi, the longest living Garrett in the family, married 49 years, and just to hear him talk about his little brother brought tears to my eyes, brought joy to my heart. I'm telling you, man, the love was in the building last night. So big shots out once again to Socrates Garrett. It's his birthday, but much love as well to his brother, Mr. Coleman Garrett. 45 years of practicing law as a defense attorney, and he talked about all the black men that he tried to keep out of the Mississippi Department of Corrections, and how after they come home, he transitions and send them over there to his brother to get some work and to learn a trade. That should be recognized, and they should be commended for their sacrifices in this community. Go ahead, caller, you on there?
Hey, good morning, y'all. It's good to hear y'all voice again this morning. I'm so glad that y'all talking about, because I'm a firm believer in term limits. All these old and all these old people, I might be saying something wrong this morning, but I am the God judge. But all these old politicians, like you say, they promise you the world. Like, here we go back around the horn again. Marshawn Chrysler, he the sheriff now, on all his posters and all that. You come back from the old guy, y'all, you steal all this old clique. I'll be so glad when I get some new faces and some new ideas going in here beside the old guys, and I tell you.
Well, what about the rest of the folk running for sheriff? You ain't say nothing about a name but Marshawn. What about the rest of them?
He one that I know that's with the old clique.
What clique that is? What clique that is?
That's the old Jackson clique.
What they do, though? I mean, you got it. No, hold on, Kyle. See, because I know what you're trying to do. You can't do that on this stage. Now, what clique? You got it. What clique? And tell me what they did.
The same old clique.
No, that ain't nope. See, now let me tell you what you are. Let me tell you what you are, Kyle. You a liar. You a liar, and you a con. Because you call here trying to take a shot. Yes, you is. You call here, you mention one person's name. You talk about a whole clique. You can't tell me nothing about the clique. You can't tell me nothing they did. You can't tell me no other name. So guess what I'm going to do? Guess what I'm going to do to you? I'm going to hang up on you because you're a damn fool. I done told y'all about calling this radio station playing. Find you some other station to call. This ain't the talk show to call. This is information, informative. Now, if you got a complaint out, I'm going to let you argue. But you better be damn sure better you can argue. Because I can. I can argue my points. So you better be damn sure when you call this station and take a shot at anybody that you can argue your point. Don't be no damn fool, black people. Don't be like that man that just called here. They ain't called here with that foolish stuff. And I ain't going to never answer another one that call. I know who he is. But I say I give you a chance. No, I don't want to talk that fool. I give you a chance to call here on a good state. We having good conversation this morning. We commending our black leadership throughout this city. And we going to continue to do that. And I'm not going to let no kumbaya Negro call this station. Not on this show. Now, you can call the mother show because they allow you to do that. But this show don't allow you to do that. You can call one of them other talk shows that let y'all say that foolishness with no factual theory or truth to it or none of that. You can call one of them other shows. You just can't call this one. All right? Pastor Pick, listen, we're about to wrap it up over here. It's homecoming weekend, man. The parade is this morning. People, listen, it's a cool brisk October the 16th morning. I'm telling you, man. The weather is right for a parade. Pastor Pick, what you got in closing for this radio listening audience?
Man, I believe there's hope, Polo. I believe there's hope. If we can keep the critical conversations going, we can educate our people, we can empower our people economically, we can empower our people evangelistically and ethically, we can get on the same page and we can make something happen. Brother, I'm excited about the future.
Well, listen, man, they can keep it locked right here to WMPR 90.1 throughout the week. Critical conversations with yourself, me, Socrates Garrett. We'll be bringing other guests in as well. Big shout out to the mayor for calling in. Listen, people, keep it locked right here to WMPR 90.1, 100,000 watt station. Coming after me is Lady Cherie, taking you all the way into the 9 o'clock hour. Hey, man, happy homecoming weekend, Jackson State. It's your boy Napoleon Edwards. I'm signing out for right now for Critical Conversation, special edition of Pick and Polo Show. See you back here tomorrow from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m.